Hey, let's see if we can get this adjusted back like it was. So we're not cutting my head off. Get it focal in here. Here we go. We've been tweaking the fine settings here and had a few technical difficulties, but it looks like we're going to be able to pull this thing off. Hopefully we're not freezing up. How are you tonight, Mr. Steve? I can't hear a thing. Can you hear me? You can hear me. Well, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
God damn. If these guys only knew the clusterfuck we've got going on before we turn on the cameras, they'd shit their pants probably.
Well, the camera I use for the web is also the same camera I use for making videos. I had to go down to the shop and find the power supply for it and this and that. And then, of course, I had to get a beverage.
No.
We have to have a beverage. We should get Jim Beam to sponsor this.
Yeah,
Jim Beam and Coke.
That's right.
You can be Coke and I'll be Jim Beam.
Well, I used to be Jim Beam, and I'm telling you, I was like Mike Tyson without the skills.
Well, I don't have that problem, but all right, man.
You're a lover, not a fighter.
We got like 30 people tuned in already. I think people want to talk about this new lowrider stuff. What do you think?
Hell yeah, I know I do.
So let's see. We got a bunch of comments in here already. Let's see who's in here. Sydney, Australia is ready and waiting from Kevin. Yeah. Zan's here. Jeremy's here from Central Illinois. Clusterfuck. Yes, that's the word. Bob Johnson's here. So
Yandre.
I guess maybe should we just jump right into this last picture that has been like the big deal? I'll throw it up here.
Right to it. Let's cut the nuts. Let's do it.
I was in Springfield, Missouri at Renegade at about 2:30 on the day that they were updating the website for the carryover models. And I left there about 2:30 and I didn't even get out of town. And I had people texting me this picture and saying, have you seen this? Of course, I was driving, so I couldn't look at it then. I got home, I looked at it, but my video was focused on that day was on what they did release. So then I waited a few days and looked this over, and I got a copy of this. This picture we're seeing is not one somebody sent me, although several people sent it to me. I got it right off the website from a Harley Davidson dealer, I will say in the northeast part of the United States that had it published. I don't want to say who, because I don't know if it's already out there or not, but dealers can get fined like $5,000 for putting stuff up on the web and things that they're not supposed to. And I'm pretty sure they weren't supposed to put this photo up.
Whoops. So
what we're going to talk about is what's in this photo and what it means. And I've looked it over pretty hard, and everybody I think saw, well, hopefully if they haven't, they can go back and watch it. But the video I put out the day after the carryover models were released shows a 117 intake with red lettering on it that says Milwaukee 8 117 high output. That is not something that they put on an intake before. So I expect a higher output engine, more horsepower, 8-10 horsepower, something like that, maybe. And I think if you can, I can't zoom in on this the way I've got it here, but there is definitely, when you zoom in on red lettering on the intake on this one, and on this one. And another thing that I didn't mention on my video on this, but these have the same cam cover as the new Touring models and the VVT models. It's got that little kick out in it, and it's a little bigger, and it's got red lettering there. And you can't see it with his foot here, the lettering, but you can see the little kick out. Yeah. This one, you can see some red lettering. So I don't think these are going to be VVT models or anything like that. My bike's got that cam cover, but it's not a VVT either. So, I don't think that's a huge deal. I think what is probably more interesting about this is this 2-into-1 exhaust now. I think that's a pretty obvious thing to spot. And Steve, I mean, I don't know how big of a Softail or modern Softail fan are you, but, the only Softail I've seen with a 2-into-1 exhaust in recent years was, I think, the Sport Glide, what April has. It's a 2-into-1. The Fat Bob was kind of a 2-into-1 into 2, but it was not. It was kind of weird. It wasn't the staggered duals. Hey, man, we got the Beard in the house. He said, hey.
Oh, Beard.
And But, so I'm kind of used to this 2-into-1 look because Firecrackers had it on her Sport Glide. Now her exhaust right behind the foot here jogs up and the exhaust comes back a little closer to the bags. So what I noticed in this one, is this looks a little more like the gap that's in hers, not the gap that's in the lowrider STs, the Diablos and stuff. And that's because right here is a reflector. And on her bike and on other clamshell bags, that right bag is shorter and that reflector is right at the bottom of it. And I think it's pretty apparent that reflector is not at the bottom of the bag. We're doing good, Beard, man. How are you doing? We got like 50 people in here.
I've always been a fan of the 2-into-1 myself. That's what I've got on my Road Glide. So I'm glad they switched over to it. And if it makes the bags level, I think that's a smart move.
Well, I think a lot of people bitched about the bags being uneven. Some people it really bothers. I guess it depends on your level of OCD. Firecracker rides behind me, so I never see it. In fact, I never see anybody's fucking saddlebags because I'm always the guy in the front. For whatever reason, I'm always the guy that has to lead. So, I think it's a great move, though, to have the bags equal in size. I think some aftermarket companies who just finally in the last year came out with saddlebags for the liners for the clamshells are probably going, God damn it, because that means a new redesign. But hopefully it won't take them long to get caught up. I mean, literally for the first couple of years, nobody made like organizers or liners for these clamshell bags. And I was talking to Hogwarts about my new bike and saddlebag liners for it. And I said, did you guys got them for the clamshell? And they're like, oh yeah, we came out with them last year. So we actually got some for her bags and put them in there. Her bags are custom painted. And that's one of the things to talk about on the bags here. I've already had some people say, do you think I'll be able to buy just the right saddlebag? What do you think, Steve? Do you think that's going to be a problem?
Yeah. I mean, financially, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense for Harley Davidson to do it, but
but they have to. You know why? Repairs. You drop your bike on the right side, they're not going to make you buy both saddlebags. There's got to be a way. Now you might have to pay. There might I don't know what the deal is. I mean, you're going to pay one way or the other. This is Harley Davidson. Let's be real. It's not going to be cheap. But for I've had dealers when I was making the joke about the new gray being the color of primer, and they're like, actually, when we get stuff in that's primered and we have to get it, because they want it custom painted or whatever else, they're like, it's not gray, it's black or it's whatever color, I don't remember, but it's not gray. So there has been a deal where dealers have gotten bags and things in that are not painted. So there's a way. There has to be a way.
Well, yeah, I mean, you made an obvious point that if the bike gets wrecked or something like that and they need new bags, you're going to have both left and right.
Right. And it won't take too long for Advan or somebody to come up with an aftermarket if they have to,
The Beard's probably working on it right now.
Yeah, Salty says you can buy one back from Harley. It's required for insurance purposes. And that was what I was thinking. From a wreck situation, they got to be able to sell just what you need to repair the bike.
And how sad is that? That's what I do for a living, and you guys outsmarted me.
So I think the clamshell bags are going to make a lot of people happy. I think the high output's going to make a lot of people happy. I think the 2-into-1 is like an EPA thing to just justify changing the bags. A lot of people are still going to change these exhausts. I mean, at least half, especially if they got a high output motor. The guys that are into the high output are probably going aftermarket exhaust. I can't imagine they're not. So we got Chasing Adventures in here, and I think Jay Sorsby's in the house. We got all kinds of people in here.
Yeah, we got some high-tune flutings in there.
Yeah, so I don't know that I'm excited about the 2-into-1, but I think it's a good move if that's what they have to do to be able to justify redoing the saddlebag and stuff. So I think that's going to be a big deal. I think the high output's a big deal. You know what else is a big deal? What do you notice anything in this picture that's different from the OEM configuration for 2024 for the ST there? It's really noticeable on the ST. It's not as noticeable on the Lowrider S, but it's if you look for it, it's there.
The black wheels.
Well, the black wheels you don't really see very well here, but yes, there's black wheels. But I'm thinking clear lenses. That means LEDs.
Ah, that is a big deal.
So everybody can quit bitching about incandescent bulbs, can
Yeah.
have all LED lighting in these new models. So I think that's a big deal. I think, it's not a huge cost deal, and it's something they should have done a while back, but at least they're finally getting it done.
Yeah.
They're getting all LED lighting. I think that's a for sure deal. Now, I don't know. Let me see if I can pull this up on another screen and share it with you guys. Talking about the black wheels, Harley Davidson put something on their website months ago, back before Christmas, and I saw it. Somebody asked me about it, but I did not. I didn't make a video on it because it was not enough to be sure that it was any indication of anything other than parts and accessories. So let's take this. We'll come back to this slide, but let me show you this picture that I was tuned into that was on Harley's website.
Well, and that's an issue that guys like you that like to try to figure things out before it actually launches is you've got parts and accessories. And so when people are showing these pictures, you got to be really careful.
So this was on Harley's homepage around Christmas. And what that's supposed to be is like a 117 that's been unwrapped for Christmas. This picture was put out early December or earlier. I was aware of it early December. And what color are these wheels here, buddy?
That's black, baby.
Yeah, you can see the wheels really well there, black wheels. And they're not in the parts and accessories anywhere that I could find black wheels like this. So, but I just didn't feel like I could make a video over a wheel because everything else here is incandescent bulbs, the regular saddlebags. And here you can see what I'm talking about, the reflectors right at the bottom of the saddlebag.
Right.
That's the regular intake. So all those things are, pretty much the same. That's why I didn't make a video about
points cover.
Yeah. All that stuff looks the same. They just put black wheels on this bike for the picture. And I didn't want to make a video out of that, not knowing for sure that would be a real deal, a real something that would be available.
Right. Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful in this. I've gotten burnt a few times. I've had a lot of people send me other people's videos and stuff, and I haven't watched them because one year I, watched somebody's video and a dealer said this and dealer said that, and I repeated it, and then it was all bullshit, and it didn't happen. And so I don't want to be talked into something by somebody else's video. So I really, this time of year, don't watch other people's videos until after I've made a video on this in most cases. But yeah, so there was a sneak peek at these wheels, a couple months ago.
I agree, Jay. I think the black wheels look good.
Ain't nobody got time for brake dust, Chasing says. So let's go back to this picture here. Now, I had a couple other people who look at Harley Davidsons every day, practically, except for maybe 1 or 2 days a week. They look at brand new Harley Davidsons all the time. And they kind of agreed with me that they think this handlebar here on the Lowrider S looks a little different. And the gauge is a little more prominently visible. It seems like from this angle, like before, to see a gap between the gauge and the fairing, you had to be almost dead beside it. And this photo is obviously a little bit in front. I think this bar has got more pullback, at least in the picture. And that doesn't mean that, they will be OEM, but it, kind of feels like that.
They might be going to those risers that all the kids are loving,
yeah. Or, I had a guy who responded to my video and said, I bought a Lowrider S and I'm going to move up to something else. He just wasn't comfortable on it because he was too far hunched forward. He's 50 some years old, and he liked the bike other than the ergonomics just weren't a great fit to him. And he was moving up to a street glide. And I got in trouble for saying moving up. Some people got offended by that. When I say moving up to a street glide, I don't mean like a street glide's better. It's different, but I mean moving up in weight. Those bikes are bigger and heavier. So they're
and more expensive.
Right. But I'm not saying that, the street glide's better than the lowrider S. The right bike is the right bike for you,
Right.
for what you want to ride. For Firecracker, the Sport Glide is the right bike. Going to a touring bike is not moving up for her because that's not what she wants.
Yep.
And talking about that gauge and stuff, I don't know, I could probably pull up a picture, but I've already looked at it. It's really hard to see in here, and I can't zoom in on this real well, but this looks like the same mount as the gauge has currently. So they could put a different gauge in there and it looked the same, but I don't know. We got a question there, Steve. Well, you want to weigh in on this? New lowrider controls will be the same as the new ones on the Road Glide, Street Glide.
I mean, do we know if that's going to be a fact or not?
Well, I don't know if we know it's going to be a fact. I believe it to be true. I went out and I tried to take blurry photos of my controls and compare them to blurry ones and stuff. So it was hard to say, but I think it makes sense. And I definitely think they're different controls. So I've got some pictures here. If we want, we can throw them up and look at the controls and stuff. Guys, bear with me. This isn't a, super professional deal. We don't have road mics and everything else. We are looking for sponsors that want to help us with gear and maybe take this to the next level. If anybody's got a business out there and they would like us to be this studio is sponsored by, you feel free to give us a shout.
I mean, it makes sense though on the controls, doesn't it, Mike? I mean, they used to have all the same controls.
Right. So let's look at the stock controls real quick.
And I know a lot of people were bitching about the new controls originally, but now that people seem to be getting used to them, I don't really hear any more complaining. So
if you look at this control, you got 2 buttons, a turn signal, and a cruise. And I took this picture just a couple weeks ago off of a 24 lowrider S. So now let's go back and look at this picture that I had from the launch that shows the blurred out one. Go pull that one up. Firecracker's trying to hide. She doesn't want to be on the video.
Well, then I was also hearing that the new controls, when you start to unscrew them, there's a lever or hook or something where it won't fall off. And then it sounds like it all comes together. It comes off easier. So it sounds like there's some advantages to this new system for those that are wanting to work on their bikes. So that's a plus.
Yeah, I have not had them apart because I let the dealer put new bars on for me. But here, we're going to switch over to a different window. And this is the picture I downloaded from Harley's website. I downloaded this. I didn't get it nowhere else. There's our high output down there.
All right.
Now, those controls are checkered, and that sure looks kind of like a round gauge or dial button system up there with like one level of buttons underneath that. And that doesn't look like a single like cruise reset button like that other one had.
Right.
So,
yeah, it definitely looks like something's different.
that's what I've been looking at. Why I see this other one here, we'll go back to it, but I think there's no doubt that picture is not these gauges.
Yeah.
Smooth grip, buttons are different. So
yeah, I definitely agree.
Road King in a truck, Chase. Jay and Chase are just going to town having their own little conversation over there. It was me. LOI, I get it now. You have to admit it's that old hat that HD gatekeepers always used to say that baggers were moving up or you got a real bike. And yeah, I mean, I get it, but I didn't mean to offend nobody. I don't, I've got friends who have gone to lowrider STs because they're 70 years old and they've had a heart attack and they can't lift as much as they used to. And the fact is they're just a little weaker than they used to be. And they're more comfortable on a lighter bike. And I put no shame on that for anybody, whatever keeps you in the saddle, baby, as long as you can stay there.
Well, we're both a little bit blessed. I mean, we've got one of each. We've got the tour bike and
the bar chaser.
Yep.
Or the poontang chaser, or depend on your situation.
Yes. That's the goal. Hey, you were talking about corporate sponsors. If there's any pretty little ladies out there, I'm open.
You're open to sponsoring them?
I'll sponsor the living daylights out of them.
So live, love, ride, eat says, I seen a pic that has the front high beam, low beam trigger that may confirm the new control prediction. Well, I mean, I really think that's the deal. I think if you think about it, it makes sense for Harley to go to the same gauges. Yeah. You get on this bike, you ride it, you're comfortable with them. You go up to the street glide, the ride glide. That's just one less thing you can say, oh, it's different, or I don't like this, or whatever else. So I think it helps, kind of unify that as you go from one style of bike to another. And it's going to allow them to have ride modes and to have other things and have more tech. And I know some people don't want any more tech, and that's cool. If you don't want more tech, the great news is there are thousands, if not millions, of used Harley Davidsons out there that you can pick up. But the fact is, the government and the EPA regulations and the EU and all those places are going to force them to do ride modes and link braking and traction control and all these things. And I would just assume they give me a button to turn it off as not. If I got to have it, I'd like to have a button to turn it off.
Yeah.
Not that I turn it off all the time, but if I decide I want to do a burnout, I'd like to be able to turn off the traction control.
Yes.
Not that I do burnouts very often anymore. Tires are getting too expensive. Do all the Softails have a 114? So currently, no, we have a 107 still in the Softail standard. But the question is, will they carry that bike forward or will they get rid of it? And then we have bikes with 114s, and then we have bikes like the Lowrider ST and the Lowrider S that have 117s. The Breakout has a 117. I've heard some people say that all the bikes are getting 117s. That could be true. I don't know. But I think there's more than just getting 117s to this launch to make these not be carryover models.
Wouldn't it be more cost prohibitive for Harley Davidson to have, a line of 117s versus having three different options? I got to think it's more cost effective to do it that way.
I think there is some level of that, but I think the problem is then Harley's always had this progression in price with features, and that includes the motor. Just, it's one of those things. I mean, it'd be more cost effective for manufacturers to have one motor in one vehicle too, and you not have a choice in your truck. You're going to get this or that, gas or diesel, take your pick. But they don't do that because drivers have different driving styles and want different things. And if you look at like Firecracker, she's happy on her 107, and no matter what anybody thinks about the 107, if we get in a drag race, can I run off and leave her? Well, with my 103 with the stage one, I could do it, but it was tough. I'd get her when we'd shift. She just couldn't shift as fast as I could. But with this new 117, I'm pretty sure I can run off and leave her. But when we go traveling and we go to Sturgis, we're not in a drag race. We're not running off. She runs down the highway just as well as I do at 80 mile an hour. It's not like it's holding her back from riding or having an adventure or making memories or any of those things. I get, if you want to do a 131, you do a 131. I got a buddy doing a 120 right now in a twin cam. So, whatever suits you.
Yeah.
The 117 is a nice step up from the 103, but it's not, it wasn't the deciding factor of, I got to have it just because it's got a bigger motor for me. Yeah. It was because my bike's got 70,000 miles on it, and I wanted this whole new generation with the new tech and everything else. And part of it is for, the aspect of doing videos on it and telling you guys about it and sharing that with you. And I'm kind of eating Harley's dog food, to share that experience with you guys. So somebody says they just sent me a picture.
Sure did.
Let's pop over here. See what I got in my emails. I don't have it yet. Hopefully they sent to ridingintheozarks@gmail.com. But yep, here it is. Here's the picture. It's coming in. Oh yeah, so this is from that parts and accessories studio where Harley does the recording, but it does have the controls with the high beam on the front of the control. I'll save this for everybody and share it out here.
Cool, nice job. Live, love, ride, eat. Those are 4 pretty good things. I can think of one I'd add on to it, but I'm sure he probably thought the same thing.
Yeah, you got to be careful if you want to do YouTube too. So, and Steve, you may have seen this video. I know you've watched some of these other content creators' videos on this. I have not. But here is what we're getting shared here. And I'm guessing this is from someone else's video because it looks like there's a little thumbnail down there. But if you see right there above the clutch, those are without a doubt, that's the big old hand controls that are on the Street Glide and the Road Glide and the high beam indicator right there.
Sure is.
This does give us a good look at the LED lighting. And, the only thing about being in a parts and accessories video is you never know how those bikes are dressed up. But, I'm pretty sure that I've been hearing all LED lighting was coming. So I would say this is what we're looking at here, the headlight and that turn signal. You see this ridge on the gauge there above the fairing where I got the mouse kind of running?
That's
that ridge. Yeah, that ridge. Yeah, that ridge and that mount for that gauge looks the same on previous years. Yeah. And so the question is, it could be a new gauge that's exactly the same size and exactly the same mount, but it's that's a good shot. That definitely confirms it.
Yep.
Where is Lady Firecracker? She had some things she wanted to do tonight, and so she stepped away tonight. She's not real big on talking specs and bikes and speculation anyway. She'd rather talk about riding and stuff. So she's in the other room. I've got till 8:00 and then dinner's going to be ready and I have to get off here. That's one reason I'm wanting to make sure I kind of get through all this stuff with you, everybody. I wonder if that gauge is a high-tech Sportster one. I would love to see that gauge be the gauge off the Nightster Special. I think that's the gauge they eventually need to go to. Gives you Bluetooth capability so you can control music. And if you're got, a Cardo or something like that, let you answer calls, let you do navigation stuff, with your connections and stuff. So Will you let her know I said hello, please? I will, Angel Face Moto Rider. Um, could the Softails get the Rev Max motors? Not this year, they can't, because they're not making Rev Max motors in the US this year. They're all in Thailand. So if they were to do that, they would be like having to import all of the Softails in the US, and that would be a huge, huge mistake right now.
I
Hey,
don't, I
Greg.
don't, I don't know this is a good time to plug this, but that Rev Max motor is getting a lot of love on some of these YouTube channels. You've got Crucy and East Coastin and Thrashin all doing things with that bike. So it's going to be interesting to see if
And
Harley gets traction from that.
well, and they should have been doing that the year of the launch, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I rode them. I think the Nightster Special is a fun bike. I mean, you got to get up to 4,000 or 5,000 RPM before it has any real hump, but it goes. It's fun to ride.
Yeah.
I thought the Nightster Special had pretty good ergonomics. It was better than the Nightster. I liked the gauge for a small bike. I like the ergonomics. And when I say small, I just saying figuratively compared to what I'm used to, because I'm used to an 800-pound bagger.
Right.
But I really liked it. It just isn't got a place for me in my life when I need a bagger. And if I was going to buy a new bike, I knew that I would be buying a bagger. That's where I put most of my miles on. I've got a bar hopper. I got a 2000 FXDX that, I can take an afternoon cruise on. Doesn't have traction control. If I want to do a little burnout in front of the establishment when I get ready to leave, it's easy to do. It's an old 2000, so it's the 88-inch, but it still runs good. It's been tuned or something, had a cam put in it before we got it, but I have fun on it. So I've got an afternoon cruise bike, and then I've got my tour bike. And but the Nightster Special, I know somebody I work with that bought one. They went from they started out on a Can-Am 3-wheeler to learn, kind of get used to, be sure this was something they wanted to do. And then they really wanted on a motorcycle, and they went and traded their Can-Am in on a Nightster Special. And they've been riding it to work in the summertime.
Good for them.
Let's see here. What else we got? I currently ride a 2016 CVO Street Glide, and I'm in the idea of jumping over to the newly updated 2025 Lowrider ST CVO. Possibly is growing on me. I don't know if they will or won't do a CVO Lowrider ST. I mean, it's been a while since they've done a CVO Softail. Anything but a CVO touring or trike bike, for a few years. So I think it would be interesting to see. I don't think it would be a bad idea. I just don't know what all they're going to do to it. Are you going to chrome it out, give it all the bells and whistles, heated grips and things like that? I mean, what are you going to do? Or is it going to be a Lowrider ST CVO, kind of like the Road Glide ST that's more performance based, but not, all tricked out. Hey guys, Ben Laurie wants to know if you're interested in testing products. So any of you guys that got a channel, feel free to hit them up, give them your email. They've hit me up via email, and I thought I responded, but right now I don't have any time in my schedule for doing any product reviews. Maybe in a few months. I have a lot coming up on my plate in the next 2 months, believe it or not. I've done a bunch of upgrades already that I got to get videos out on. And then we've got the launch coming on the 23rd. And I've been working with Renegade, so I'm sure when they get new bikes in, I'm going to come down and do a video of them. Like, if you guys didn't see, I did a video the other day of the Street Glide and Mystic Shift. That looked awesome. That is the only paint that I would have considered over the White Onyx Pearl if it was available when I was ready to buy. But it looks great. And the only thing I think they could do to make it look better would be to put Ghost Flames underneath it. But that would probably be hard to do with the chameleon color, but it was pretty awesome. Do you think there will be a new color not yet seen for the new lowrider? I'd love to see a denim offering like the Iron Horse metallic denim. I don't know, but there could be new colors that we haven't seen yet. That's definitely a possibility. There's a lot of colors on the touring models in black trim. There's more options in black trim than there are in chrome trim. When I did my video the night of the website update, I missed a couple of colors. I had some people comment on it, and I even confirmed with the source that they were not there when I was looking. There was still some website edits being made wee hours later. So but I definitely think we could see some more colors. That would not surprise me at all. Didn't HD say this year's touring bikes were the focus? Does that mean CVOs outside the touring platform are less likely? I think in 2024, they said that. I don't know that they've said anything like that in 2025. And I've been saying for a few months that because the touring platform got big upgrades last year, that they would be more focused on the Softails this year. And that, I think, is what we're seeing. That's why there's the controls, the bags, the 117 high output. I think that's all good stuff. Let's see here. When is Harley going to show all the models? January 23rd. Also, do you think at 5:00, do you think we'll ever get a Sportster Icon model or at least a traditional Sportster back in the lineup? I only like Sportsters. Knucklehead, I do not believe you will see the traditional Sportster back as long as the current CEO is in power. They made a decision to eliminate that motor rather than upgrade it to meet European standards. So they felt it was not cost effective to make it meet European standards. That doesn't mean it couldn't be done. But they said it wasn't cost effective. They committed to the Rev Max motors as a replacement. Now, that doesn't mean down the road somebody couldn't reverse that decision, but I don't think you'll see the current leadership change that and go back to and second guess themselves and update the Sportster motor and bring it back. But I think the truth is, there are lots of Sportsters out there, low miles. There's lots of them out there you can still pick up, late models, low miles. So if that's what you love, that's just kind of what you're going to have to probably settle for, is a late model, low mile model. I don't think you're going to find a brand new 2025 or later Sportster that's got the traditional look and engine.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's gone forever myself.
Now, I do think that if they did come out with an Icon model, it would still not be the old engine. It would be a new engine, and they would just do stuff like slap a seat on it or something else to make it look old.
You know what they could do? They could do the Softail standard pretty quick and easy.
Yeah. I get it, brother. I really want the CEO to be replaced. I have mixed emotions about it. I mean, and looking at it objectively, not politics or anything else. The fact is, there are a bunch of motorcycle companies, if you don't know right now, that are in trouble, and Harley's not one of them. Not yet, anyway. I haven't checked their stock price this week. Have you, Steve? They did hit a 52-week low here just a week or two ago. Let's take a look at it real quick and see.
Well, we may have touched on this too. Joachim has been on the board for years.
15 plus.
Yeah, he was highly regarded. And when they were looking to get a new one, they wanted him to take that position. And I think initially he didn't want to do it. And then finally they coerced him into taking the position. So I think Harley's likes this guy.
Well, the board likes this guy.
The board,
and that's what matters.
And that's what matters.
And the only thing that's going to change the board's mind is stock price.
Yeah,
stock price will go down when profits go down, and so when they lose money, when they do things, they get enough things that cause the stock price to go down. that's what it would take for the board, I think, to reconsider.
Yeah.
Will the Pan America have a made in Thailand sticker on them? I don't know if they'll have a made in Thailand sticker on, but I bet you the VIN number won't start with 1HD, because that's how you know it's made in America, is 1HD. All Harleys made in America have always started out with 1HD, and I believe the 1HD is an indicator of where it was manufactured at. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's it.
I got a good question.
Yeah, so here's the low was 27.37, and we're at 28.87 right now. So we're but we've been traditionally over 30, so we're in a dip, and it's not just Harley. I mean, Steve, you've heard about KTM, haven't you?
I think we've actually visited offline about it. That they're in trouble.
They're in big trouble.
And
they have a year's worth of inventory sitting in a warehouse. They have, the last I heard, they had enough money to make payroll through the 19th of January, and that was it. They've been trying to negotiate a settlement where creditors will take 30 cents on the dollar. They're trying to get investors. They're selling off Husqvarna and Gas and MV Augusta. I mean, they're in big trouble, and there's talk of fire sales on KTMs to offload inventory and get them gone. And let me ask you, if you could buy a KTM at half price, an $8,000 bike at $4,000, knowing the company might go out of business tomorrow, would you still do it?
No,
I would, but I'm not afraid to work on one.
Well, that bike's going to break down, and then where are you going to get your parts?
From another one that was half price. Buy two.
Right. KTM is the shit, man, in the dirt world. So that's huge news.
Yeah. Well, the Dukes are street bikes. They're pulling out of MotoGP racing. Right. Triumph just announced that not that they're in trouble, but they didn't make any profit last quarter, I believe, is the headlines I saw. So last quarter they were flat. So here's some people talking about that, and Salty talked about it. One is for the U.S., 1HD is for U.S. 1HD or 5HD is the destination, B in the VIN made in the U.S., S in the VIN made in Thailand. So that's how it is for the European market. That's how they identify them. So that's good to know. Moto Noggin says they are releasing the Bronx. Every year I make a Bronx video because I want them to know that we have a fan group that has not forgotten the Bronx. Now, if they come out with the Bronx, instead of buying a KTM at half price, I would probably consider the Bronx as another local ride bike. It's not something I'm going to ride all day or travel real far on, but I could ride it back and forth to work or something like that. And that is so much different than my Dyna. I wouldn't feel like I was getting just another cruiser.
All right. So let me ask you a question. And then this is what I was going to ask earlier. So, on the, you've always thought that would make a great bike the Pan America would make a great bike for a hooligan bike. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the Bronx, it kind of has that look. Mm-hmm. Do you think somehow they could try to incorporate the Pan American to make the Bronx, maybe make it a little more cost effective using the same platform?
Well, I think so. I think the RevMax platform is a stress member frame. So you just take the Pan America and you change the bits for the headlight and the bar setup maybe and a few things, and throw a different fender on the subframe in the back kind of deal. And you could make a much Bronx looking street fighter style bike out of the Pan America pretty easy. And I don't want to get in trouble here. I don't want to say anything I shouldn't say, but I have heard people say that the Pan America is a hooligan bike. And I've heard people say it's the hooligan bike people want. They just don't know it. So, nothing said that was not in an NDA anywhere, but hopefully I don't say anything that'll get me in trouble. I like being able to ask Harley Davidson questions. Some of them they won't answer, but some of them they will. And I think that's great for you guys because it gives me the ability to get answers for you, like this right saddlebag. You can bet money I'm going to have that question into Harley Davidson before the launch and ask them if they can have an automated response ready to send when the video goes live. So I'll have the answer right away.
And we hope that happens.
Yeah, rumor has it that HD will release a Pan America Street Hooligan style this year. I hope that rumor doesn't just originate from the video I made a month ago about it.
Right.
There is some stuff that, guys, just to be, I don't talk about this a lot, but sometimes I make a video and then other YouTubers will talk about that, but they won't give me any credit as the source or say, oh, well, such and such thinks this or that. And so then it looks like that they have a source for the same information that's not just me or my YouTube channel. And I have no evidence that they're going to make a Bronx other than the fact that the Pan America is used in the Hooligan Race Series, and they feel that is the hooligan bike that people would want is based off the Pan America, and they have the research from the racing platform and stuff to see how to better make that. So,
all right. So let me ask you, if it comes out, do you get rid of one of your other bikes and buy one?
What's this get rid of thing? Blasphemy. You can always buy. Awesome. You can always buy another bike. That doesn't mean you got to get rid of a bike just to buy another bike. You just have to be financially irresponsible, Steve. And I've got that covered all day long. Me too, brother.
Me too.
So, yeah, the Pan America is really fast. I rode it when it first came out. And I think it'd be a great move if they did turn that into a Street Fighter style bike.
Me too. I'd welcome that with open arms.
So let's go back here. This is about the Lowrider S. Is there anything we didn't cover in here? Somebody asked about the seat, and I know in one of the pictures that somebody sent me from the parts and accessories video where they got screen grabs, that was probably an aftermarket or parts and accessories seat. It's not the OEM seat. But that's hard to say. I can't tell that there's anything different in this seat and these pictures here, but these things are, even though I pulled an original image, they're not, when I zoom in, they're not that high quality.
Yeah. They're solo seats, and that's what they had on them in 24. So
yeah,
they're not too up or anything.
I even made notes about all this stuff I wanted to talk about, and I haven't brought them out here, but we've talked about the gauge. And like I said, I have no evidence that they're changing the gauge, but I would like to see that. I think that would be a great move with these new controls to go to newer technology in the gauges and stuff. Some people love the gauge on the Street Bob, and they think that's great, that little bitty gauge on the bars, because they want that kind of classic looking Harley with, it's bare bones. But with like the ST and a fairing there, put a goddamn gauge in there. Give a man something, because it's not like you're seeing the bars there most of the time anyway.
Are you wanting to touch on predictions on whether there will be any other new bikes or bikes they want to get rid of?
Well, I think, there was somebody asked about 35th anniversary Fat Boy, and I definitely think, they've been doing that every 5 years for several years now. I would find it hard to believe that they don't do it this year. If they don't do it this year, it's simply a matter of sales. And they think with sales being on a down right now because of the economy, that it's not worth the R&D to do it. But that's why I think they'll do it. And they'll just do something simple, throw the high output motor into it, give it red accents, couple of other blacked out parts out of the parts and accessories catalog, and called an anniversary edition. And people, I've been watching these launches for 5 years and covering them for YouTube, and I've gotten a different perspective. In the early years, I looked at it like a consumer, and I wanted this and I wanted that, and I would be disappointed when they didn't do it. And after 5 years, I've gotten to look at it as like, not what I think they should do, but what do I think they will do? And I've traditionally seen them do things that were kind of low hanging fruit, easy to do. One little change, two little changes here and there, take this from that bike and incorporate that in. And I think with the economy being what it is and motorcycle sales being on the shrink, I don't think they're going to put a ton of R&D in the new models, because I don't think doing a ton to these models is going to improve sales. I don't think the problem with sales are that these bikes are not popular or not good. I think the economy is the problem with sales, because it's not just Harley Davidson that has sales. I mean, they predicted 5 to 10% down. I'm waiting for the next financial report, which I expect to be February. But Triumph's flat. BMW did okay. I mean, probably better than some other models. Honda, I think for the first time, was the best-selling motorcycle in the U.S. last quarter. Traditionally, Harley outsells them, even though people find that very hard to believe. That's been the case. But Honda, I think last quarter actually beat Harley in sales. But they have a lot more affordable motorcycles. When you look at that number in sales, they're not selling only $15,000 to $30,000 bikes. Honda has bikes that are underneath that $15,000, $13,000 threshold for the Nightster S.
Yeah.
Or the Nightster. So it makes it easier for them to sell bikes because they have those more affordable bikes. Ducati's cutting back their production line, Salty said. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff like that going on all across the industry. So I don't think that they're going to throw a ton of stuff at these bikes that's going to cost them a ton of money to do. I think they're going to do small things like they can put a cam in here, a new intake, it's high output. Boom, give you a little better numbers. Makes people happy. LED lighting, that's easy to do, makes people happy. I think the bags is probably the biggest change in the controls that's, going to actually, make a difference that people wouldn't do from aftermarket. The 2-in-1 exhaust isn't that big a deal because people want that. They could do that anyway. The high flow intake and cam to do a high output is something they could do, but if they give that to you, it saves you from doing a stage 2, couple $1,000s. I think that's a good way to keep people to stepping up. Buy a new one. What's Honda's best seller? I have no idea. Can the Lowrider ST get lowers? The Lowrider ST can have an engine guard, and you could put some kind of soft lowers on them, like the leather protectors. I know because we have them on Firecracker Sport Glide. And for guys that are not familiar with the Sport Glide, because it was only around a few years and it's been gone, the Sport Glide and the Lowrider S and the Lowrider ST have a lot of interchangeable stuff, like the seat. Yeah. They both have the inverted front forks, or all three of them. So they were very much, the Sport Glide was very much like the Lowrider ST and the Lowrider S, but I think the Lowrider ST just replaced it here in the U.S. So
they're basically the same family.
Yeah, more so than some of the other Softails, because they had the inverted front forks and they had a lot of interchangeable stuff. I could look something up and it wouldn't say it fit the Sport Glide, but it would say it fit the Lowrider S or the Lowrider ST in the same years. And sure enough, if you did enough research, it did fit the Sport Glide as well. So I think the bags are a big deal. I haven't seen any aftermarket replacements for that other than just like replacing the clamshell bags altogether with some other kind of modern touring style bag or something. But you could do soft lowers on them. I don't know that you could do hard lowers. I've not seen hard lowers for a Softail personally. Advan makes Lowrider ST lowers. I know they make some extra body parts for the ST, like a fairing that comes down and some other stuff. And I think that's just something they've had in the last year or so. Any thoughts or predictions on a breakout? So, Steve, did you see that picture that was floating around of the yellow breakout with the big chrome cover on it and all that?
I did.
I think if they do that, that's a mistake.
I'm not a big fan of yellow, but.
Well, it's not even the yellow, but that bike had, it had the touring model air intake on it. And that does not make sense when you have this high output style intake already on the breakout. I don't think it was more attractive. I wouldn't have done that. It also had chrome triple trees and like a chrome headlight bezel trim and some other things, chrome risers it looked like or something. I can't remember. There's something else with the handlebars that was chrome looking. 2 or 3 things I spotted in that. And that I was concerned. And that looked like a cell phone picture that's been, copied or taken a picture of a picture kind of thing. And Jochen Zeitz was in it. So that wasn't a bike that was set up for photography as much as that was a bike somewhere like at a dealer demonstration or dealer show. And like I said, they have been known to put P&A stuff on those bikes to disguise them. So I'm really hoping that the Breakout doesn't come with that ugly ass huge chrome intake that's on the touring models.
Yeah.
Maybe it will, but I'm just telling y'all, sneak peek. After I get my tab exhaust dynoed, wedge in air intake, and Screaming Eagle Pro Tuner, we're going to do a full stage 1 on it with the new air intake. And I went with the wedge high flow. I like it a little better than these ones that come forward like these high outputs here, but that's just my personal preference. Bags that look like the Street Glides would look way better than the clams. Yeah, the clams are not my favorite. Somebody said Softail Slim for 25. I would be very amazed at that. Best value Harley to buy in 2025. Oh, that's a tough question. Somebody asked about a Breakout or a Street Bob. Will it have the 117? I think the Street Bob is due for the 117. I think it's been on a 114 for 5 years now, something like that. And it has the same gauge and stuff as the Breakout and the Lowrider ST. I think it makes sense for it to come up to a 117.
I'd get rid of the Street Bob and I'd make 2 models of the Softail Standard. One, the way they have it now, so that, a guy can tear it apart and rebuild it the way he wants to customize it. And another one with a more performance motor in it and make it more of an ST style bike with a little bit better cost price tag if you can.
Yeah, I mean the Street Bob is basically the Softail Standard with a few bells and whistles.
Yeah,
and a bigger motor.
Yes. Plus, I hate the name Street Bob.
Well, I don't like Fat Bob either. They got rid of it.
Yeah.
But they got some names, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm not going to answer the best value for 2025 Anonymous. I'd have to do some research on that. That's a tough question. I can't just spit one out there.
And it depends on what you're wanting to do with that bike. Are you going to keep it stock? Are you going to make it yours? What's your goal with the bike?
Yeah, I mean, what's your riding style? What are you values a lot. I mean, I said last year that the Street Glide and the Road Glides are great values because we got a lot more for the same amount of money, but until I see the pricing on the whole lineup and everything else, there's nothing that stands out to me as like, oh, hey, this is the fire sale bike of 2025 yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, when they came out with the pricing on the Street and Road Glides last year, I mean, I don't think anyone sat there and thought, oh, this price is too high or they won't raise the prices next year. I mean, that was a given.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Dave said, we're going to see on the 23rd what all the answers are. And then we'll have a better idea of like pricing and value and all those things. Somebody asked, will the CVO get flames for 2025? Well, I tell you what, if you were going to do flames on a couple of the Street Glides and Road Glides, these midnight stuff, I'd be surprised. I would not be surprised to see flames on, a CVO model.
Like if they came out with the Fat Bobs.
Well, even so at the carryover, we didn't get any CVO models. So we could still get a CVO Street Glide or Road Glide or something like that. So, touring or Softail, either one, I think seeing flames on it would probably, be a good possibility because they've kind of got 2 flame jobs already this year.
Right. I could see that if they do the Fat Boy anniversary bike, like you're thinking might happen, I could see it having flames.
The Road
Somebody
King
ringing the dinner
Standard.
bell.
Yeah, the Road King Standard needs a 117. That's for sure. Some people want to get the new body style, Anonymous. Do you think it should get the new body style? Nasty Hog makes a nice bag that quick detach like the OEM bags. Hey, Steve, not to throw you guys off the subject, is there a motorcycle show coming up, or is it just the World of Wheels? Cycle Showcase in
St. Louis.
3 weeks. We'll be back online before then. We should do another live before then, but we talked about that one 2 weeks ago if you want to go back and see that live. But Cycle Showcase is coming, baby.
I think Lone Cowboy, him and a buddy rode over to that Cycle Showcase last year. Froze their nuts off, if I remember right.
Will we be getting a CVO in red? I can't say for sure. Yes, Mike, dinner. Yes, my wife just rang the dinner bell, and I'm a fat kid, so I'm going to go eat my dinner so I can have my dessert.
Pie? Anyone?
Pie. We'll try and catch up on the questions here real quick. Make sure I get anybody say anything. Yeah, 5 p.m. on the 23rd.
What about a Fat Boy? You make two different models of the Fat Boy. You keep the current model, and then you make one that's like a custom, and it has.
Well, you're going to have the anniversary edition this year.
Yeah, because I'm thinking the Fat Boy could easily be converted over to a look like the Deluxe, which
So they when they've done the anniversary editions, they've traditionally had a standard version anniversary edition also. So I think there's a good chance we'll have two Fat Boys this year. She opened that door to tell me dinner was ready, and I can smell it, man. 5 p.m. Central Time. 5 p.m. Central Time, everybody. I think we covered most everything on this. I appreciate the screenshot of the controls. It's good to see that. Salty's got a teaser coming out for Cycle Showcase and stuff. Steve will be there. We will be there. We look forward to seeing anybody in person that can make it to the show in St. Louis. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook, Cycle Showcase. And it'll be a good time. And we'll talk more about that after the launch. Well, the next live we do will probably be after launch. We'll talk about the launch, but we'll also make sure we let everybody know what our plans are for Cycle Showcase and stuff. I've got some big compliments here. Look at that, man. The only ones I trust. Thank you very much. There are some other people that get stuff right. Sometimes some people get stuff that I miss, but the Viking bags thing, I'm going to say I did one product for them and it was not bad, but they wanted me to go back and give them 5-star reviews on a whole bunch of websites after I did it. And I was like, no, you don't tell me what to give something for review. If you want me to go review something, then ask me to go leave a review, but don't tell me what to leave. Yeah. And so that kind of burned a bridge with me on the Viking bags.
Now, guys, I don't know if Mikey wants me to mention this, but I will. Last year we did a live on the review date. We've talked about doing that again this year. There may be some scheduling conflicts for Mike on that. So it probably won't happen, but if it does, we'll definitely let you guys know.
So you going to an event for Harley Davidson. I'm not sure exactly what he means by that, but I am going to be at Renegade Harley Davidson on the 23rd at 5 p.m. They're going to have a special event. I'm going to hang out there and talk to people about what's launched. Maybe if they've gotten some bikes in, we'll have something to look at. And like Steve said, maybe we can do a live from there. Maybe we can't. We'll have to see if that works out and stuff, but we're going to try and make that happen. We talked about the Fat Boy earlier, man. I'm sorry, Mark. Go back and watch. We did touch on it a few times throughout this video, but I'm going to get off of here, and I appreciate everybody tuning in. We had a huge turnout tonight. Thank you, guys. I hope you all subscribe to the channel, and if you don't, make sure you do. Give us a thumbs up if you like this, and tune in a couple of weeks, and maybe if we keep getting turnouts like this, we can get somebody to help us with some of these streaming costs. StreamYard's raised the price and stuff, and we'd like to do some things to take this to the next level, but it all takes money. So we'll see how that works out for us. But I appreciate everybody tuning in here. Steve, thanks for joining me tonight.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys. Y'all stay safe. Keep on riding. We'll see you in the next one.